Welcome back to the show, you mob. This episode is rated E for emotional, A for April, and F for fucking depressed. Roll the intro. So it's really not all that depressing, honestly. I know, I know. I just said F for fucking depressed, but it's gonna be something. This, if y'all are hearing this, it'll be a fucking miracle, honestly, because I have a feeling I know how this episode is gonna go, and it is not conducive to being posted. I don't know what admin do we have here. I'm home, obviously. Or maybe not, obviously. I don't know. These probably all sound the same to you guys, regardless of where I'm recording from. For all, any gear nerds out there, tonight we're recording on the MV7X because I listened back to 40. There's something about the pod mic. There's something about it. Handling noise. I just don't like. Even if I had it EQ'd, listening back to it once it was mixed down and mastered and posted, and I just can't, there's something about it. So I need to very clearly learn more about mixing and how to fucking do it. So MV7X is all reliable at this point, although the Lewitt would also do in a pinch here. So this all means nothing to most of my listeners. But yes, we are home. The Christmas break has begun, thank fuck, because your boy is tired. I'm basically, not basically, I am off until I go back to work on the 2nd. So it's a very needed, much well-deserved break. Unfortunately, I came home and I got stuck into the piss. So I'm a little bit drunk, and I'm in a mood, which is where the E for emotional comes from, honestly. Like, and I know y'all know what I'm thinking about. It's not a secret. It's not a mystery. It's not an anything. I know exactly what y'all know. Fuck. There ain't no secret to it. It's April. I'm thinking about fucking April. And I'm fucked off about it still. And I tried to script this and it didn't work. And I tried to think about it and it didn't work. So we just fucking sat her down and hit record, and we'll see what we get here. If it's an episode or one for the vault, who fucking knows? But honestly, I'm tired of fucking vaulting episodes because they're about her. Because she doesn't fucking listen. So, fuck it. Honestly, at this point, let's roll the fucking dice here and see what we see when we see it. Fuck's sake. So, we did try to script this. Just a little bit. We tried our fucking best. So we'll work through what little script I got here, and then we'll see if I have anything in the fucking tank. I'm hoping this won't be a shorter one, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a mess. This is just the warning at the front. It's going to be a fucking bit of a mess. But onward and upward. And yeah, just a little to differentiate here. So, like I said, I'm a little bit drunk and a little bit mad. So this should really, really go as well as you'd expect, knowing what y'all know about me after 40 episodes. But there's something about the season, something about the way I'm living, something about the choices I've been making, like some combination of it all. I'm just kind of angrier and sadder than usual, and I'm letting it get to me. And this was supposed to be the intro. We're already off to a fucking great start here, y'all. This is your heads up that this episode will more than likely be some kind of fucking dramatic, so strap in for that. And if you're asking yourself, what has led you to this point? Well, let's explore. And this is half a repeat from Wednesday's episode, but something is happening with the monitoring and I don't like it. Anyway, this is a brief little repeat, more in depth, but it kind of starts with the podcast, if I'm being honest, because, and again, I used people's real fucking names in this when I wrote it, and I'm too into the piss here to really reliably hope that I don't fuck this up. So, fat fingers, don't fail me now if I got to throw a flag in, but I've really been trying like the last few episodes to limit the April content and just kind of trying to keep it like light and breezy, trying to act like it's all happy-go-lucky and everything is fine. And like I scrapped the episodes that didn't meet that vibe and tried to convince myself like everything's all good. You're all fucking good, homeboy. Everything's not all good. And there's really no point in lying to the podcast about it anymore. Like we talked about in the last episode, the fact that like real people from my real life are really going to hear this can't affect how I do the fucking show to a degree, obviously. I've been not talking about this because I'm worried about what people will think. And we kind of talked about this in the last episode. Like the Frenchman very clearly has very, very strong opinions about this. And is this stuff that I would kind of want Scotty to know? And like the Frenchman's wife listens to this, and I don't have a good nickname for him, but another wife listens to this just because the Frenchman's wife is apparently my biggest fan and just spreads this all around. So to all the wives, like, you think your husband's fucked up? He could be this guy. And like I'm worried about being judged for like being fucked up about April still. Like I'm worried. And it really kind of creatively at least puts a cramp in how I do the podcast because I'm just constantly worried, like, what will these people think about me and all these like super personal things that I want to talk about on the podcast. And like, no more. Hey, like anyone who would kind of take what I say on the show and weaponize it against me is really not someone worth knowing. And those people will expose themselves very quickly and they will be dealt with very harshly, unfortunately for them. So I guess we just kind of can't have stage fright here anymore and just kind of have to go back to being honest. Like when it was just me, a microphone, and the iPad and no fucking listeners, and it was just this little therapy thing. And like we said in the last episode, like, fuck what anyone who listens thinks. If you don't like it, turn it off. And if you're going to listen to this to use it against me, you're going to have a real fucking bad day, unfortunately for you. And you'll find out very quickly. So let us kind of take the podcast back to where it's supposed to be, which is about me and my state and what I'm dealing with. And let's dig into this shit. Fuck, we're rapidly approaching the end of the script and we're only 9 minutes in. Fuck. So why am I mad tonight? What has got my jingles all jangled, my timbers all shivered, my jungles all jangled? What are we mad about? Because I fucking miss April.
Oh my God.
And I fucking hate how much I miss her. I really do. Because I know she's out living her life, not giving a flying fuck about me. She doesn't care. And I have to try and convince myself of that. I really do. Because it would make this a lot easier if I could convince myself of that and fucking believe it. Because obvious. It's fucking fairly obvious why that would make everything so much fucking easier. But I really hate that I can't talk about this with anyone, because like, how do I explain why a 2-month relationship did this much damage and has had this much of an impact? And I try to explain, and it's in one of the cut episodes. It's in one of the vaulted episodes, because the Frenchman's wife had asked me, like, why her? What about her was so fucking special that she has done this to you? Because the Frenchman's wife has known me for many, many years, and I was not like this when January and I split up. I was more sad about the loss of routine and the loss of stability than I was about losing her. And from what I've gathered, she wasn't that broken up about it at all. So that relationship was very much a little bit of a lie. For who knows how long. I can't be fucked to give a shit about it and find out, because why? I'm just going to make myself mad if I find out something I don't want to find out. So better to let it lie and keep her blocked and move on. But like, this is what the Frenchman's wife was asking me. She's like, why, man? What is it about April that, like, what is it? And I went into this in one of the vaulted episodes. Went into it, talked about it, explained it, and then I decided that it was too personal and didn't post it. And honestly, I was worried that April, even though we know she doesn't listen, she doesn't fucking care, I was worried that if April ever heard it, she would get the wrong takeaway from it. And I didn't want that drama, and I didn't want her to think that. I would rather her hear it from me than on a podcast episode where I was, let's be honest, I was probably drunk. And yeah. And then how, like, I have no one to talk to this about. I have no one to talk about this to. Like, Caillou tries to listen, but then he wants to offer suggestions, and I'm like, I'm not doing any of that, man. Like, Caillou's big thing is like, text her. And we talked about this in the last episode. Like, he's not wrong. I need to be the one to bridge the gap. I need to be the one to reach out to her. And we talked about it in the last episode, why I won't, because I'm scared of taking this a very hypothetical situation and putting parts of it into concrete, and those parts not being what I want to see. So while Caillou is correct, I do need to shit or get off the pot here, basically. Like, I don't want to know. I would rather live in this fucking fantasy land and apparently be mad about this, and then drive myself fucking crazy and right? Like, fuck me, man. And I don't know. And like, how do you explain this to somebody? I don't even bother with Frenchman anymore because he just won't understand. And I'm not going to talk about it with Scotty because we're not that kind of friends. And I haven't seen Jelly in almost 2 months. And yeah, it's just kind of me, my thoughts, and the damage. So I hate that I can't talk about this with somebody, and I hate that I think about her so much. I really, and I wrote that in anger. It's hard to explain. And I don't know how to explain it, honestly. I wish I didn't think about her so much. I wish that there was any kind of sign of wanting to move on, and there's not. And I apparently just want to be trapped in this and stuck in this and just miss her and be fucking sad about it. And it is what it is, right? Like, this is just the damage I'm doing to myself at this point. There's no blame to be shared with her. It's me doing it to myself. And there's no one to blame but me. And la-di-da-di-da, right? Like, I don't know. I really hate that every time I have the "you're not April" thought, because I know the whichever relationship I'm in at the time is doomed at that point. It just at that point it becomes a matter of like, when will this end? Because and I this is the last section before I fucking gave up. I'm trying to script this. Like, there's more here, but like this paragraph that I'm reading through right now, like this was um this was the last section that I managed to write before I just got writer's block and frustrated and jammed up, and just it's a whole fucking mess in my head. But because I want to write all this out and I want to sort it out and on paper, he said in quotations, like I want to get it all down, and I can't because I know it's for the podcast. So as soon as I try and like write some of this down, I get writer's block because I'm like, well, I can't talk about this in the podcast because everyone's sick of hearing about it and blah, blah, blah. And that's the wrong attitude to have. And it's this mental block that I have now. And it's honestly, it's making the fucking the podcast really hard to do because I want to talk about this. I want to work through this on the show, and I can't, I feel like, because, well, we've talked about it, but so it makes it really fucking hard to sit down and want to do the podcast and pretend that everything's fine and, you know, want to do these episodes where it's like, oh, everything's great, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, everything's not fucking great, man. Like, I am fucked up about this, and it is a fucking mess, and blech, just blech. is the best way I can fucking describe it. Just blech. And I don't know what to do about it because I have no one to bounce ideas off about it, and I can't talk about it on the podcast, and I can't this and I can't that, and fuck. So whatever, it's my fucking show. It sucks shit. If you don't like it, turn it the fuck off and move on with your day. This is for me. Yeah, and this "you're not April" thought, like every single girl since her, it's happened. And at first I was like, well, that's just dating a new person. And it led to the end of that relationship and the end of the next one and the end of the next one. And it's going to lead to the end of the one I'm in right now. Because shock horror, I still haven't broken up with the new girl because I'm a fucking piece of shit sometimes. And it's, yeah, like it's as soon as I have the thought, and it always comes lately, it turns from a hopeful situation with many possibilities to a ticking time bomb because the end is coming now. It is literally just a matter of when. It happened with Autumn, and that was the beginning of the end because I just started comparing everything about her and us to me and April, and that was the downfall until my cowardice was the end of it. But yeah, and it's happened with New Girl. It happens every fucking time we hang out. There's something will happen, and I'll just look at her and I'll think to myself, well, it's not what April would have done. Or like just and I know what a piece of shit this makes me sound like. I really, really do. I am not unaware of what this makes me sound like. Trust me. I spend most of my days lately in my head about this, trying to come up with the nicest way to break up with the new girl and failing, basically. I cannot think of a good way to end this relationship. I can't think of a good lie to tell her about why I can't be with her. And the truth is much worse than any lie I could tell her. So I just don't know what to do. So we like very clearly need to be single here because this path of damage I'm leaving behind me is getting larger and larger as the days go by, and that's not fair to anybody. And these poor women don't deserve it. We've said it a bunch of times. The only mistake you can say they made is that they thought I was cute and they thought I was funny. And oopsie doopsie poopsie, I end up being a lesson. And It's really easy to go to work and joke about it with the boys, like it's fine, and it's not fine. It's like it's fucking me up a little bit that I haven't broken up with New Girl yet. Because every day I wait, it gets a little bit worse. It gets a lot worse for her and a lot worse for me. And I have all these excuses like, well, it was her birthday and it's almost Christmas and at the end of the day, like as fucking per usual, what does it boil down to? I am a coward and I don't want to deal with it. And ugh, just fucking ugh. And you would think all of that is the worst part. But in my mind, the worst part is, and kind of the part I love hate the most, is that if April called, I would come. And that inevitably leads to me to the question, like, well, should I be in the relationship if that's the case? Like, is it fair to someone else that I would immediately walk away from them if April came back? And like the answer is fuck no. Obviously, I'm not oblivious to this. Like, I may be oblivious to many, 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 many things, but the fact that if April texted me and wanted to meet, wanted to talk, I would immediately walk away from whoever I was with. That's a fucking 100% a sign that I shouldn't be dating. And then, like, what am I dating for? And what's the answer, kids? Distraction. Fucking again. I lied to myself and said, I'm ready and I'm looking for a long-term relationship, and it's a lie. It's a fucking lie. And what I'm really looking for here is a fucking distraction. Somebody who will distract me enough that I can forget about April. And that's real fucking shitty. And it works none of the time. Shock horror. It's real Ron Burgundy. Like, works 60% of the time every time. No, it works 0% of the time every time. Because it doesn't work, because I'll eventually have the you're not her thought, which leads to comparison, which leads to an ending. And this trail I've heard I'm leaving is shocking. Like, even, especially to me. And then we come to the end of the script here. So let's just turn that off and not get distracted by it. But yeah. I don't know. I started digging into the piss tonight and just started getting mad. And I'm mad at myself, and I'm a little mad at April, and mad, right? Like, obviously, the one I'm the most mad at is me for this New Girl situation and for the fact that I can't get over this. And I am trying to convince myself, like, she doesn't care, she doesn't listen, she doesn't think about you, she doesn't miss you, she doesn't anything. And some stupid part of me is just holding on to the hope that maybe she does. Maybe she still gives a fuck. And it's going to get me nowhere fast, y'all. Very clearly, we're here. We're in the sad boy hours. And then, yeah, I get real mad at myself for New Girl because she's nothing but a sweetheart and so genuine and just cares. And I have the very intrusive, very shitty thought this week where I asked myself, like, should you just settle? Should you just settle with New Girl because April is never coming back? We have to believe. Because to try and convince myself that there's hope is just going to send me over the fucking... It's just going to keep me in this cycle of fucking hurt and anger. So I definitely this week took a minute to think and ask myself, like, do you want to settle and just try and make something happen with New Girl? Because we're compatible enough. She's very nice. We get along. And that is a real, real shitty thought to have, that after I settled for 10 fucking years, that I would consider doing it again just to avoid feeling this pain. And shows kind of how desperate I am to have her to not be so like entrapped with these thinking about April. And yeah, real shitty thing to think. And I didn't really consider it that much, if at all. I had the thought and then went, oh no, this is a very poor reflection of where you're at about this whole thing. So and then I have all the excuse answers, right? Like, well, it was her birthday. I'm not going to break up with her on her birthday or before or after her birthday. And then, well, surprise, her birthday is fucking a few days before Christmas. So I'm not going to break up with her around Christmas. That's really shitty. I don't want to ruin her Christmas. And excuse. And lie. Man, I just feel like shit. I feel like a real fucking asshole most of the time here. So and I'm just doing it to myself, honestly, because it would be real easy to solve this fucking problem. It would be so fucking easy to solve. All I have to do, and I'm looking at the solution right now. It's my fucking phone sitting on the table here. All I'd have to do is pick the fucking phone up and scroll on down to April, real name, last name, send her a text. And first of all, see if it even sends. And second of all, see what kind of response I get. And it would not be favorable, I don't think. And I'm too scared to. I'm too much of a fucking coward. And I'm honest enough with myself to know that, because that right there is the answer to all the fucking struggles. And I just can't do it. For all the reasons I've said. I would rather it stay Schrodinger's situation and not deal with it. And honestly, be a bit of a fucking pussyfooter and try and say some ridiculous shit on the podcast that I hope would goad her into texting me. And every time I think about doing it, I don't, obviously, because it's a shitbag move. And I'm not even doing it now. This is just kind of how my mind works, right? Like, it's shitty for everyone involved except April, because she has no idea any of this is going on. And I really wish I could sit here and I could run through all the reasons why I'm not over this. And I really wish it made sense to anybody but me, but it doesn't. So, I don't know, y'all. I guess we've said it in one of the way back episodes, like, just be careful who you trust, be careful who you let in, and protect yourself. Because with April, I didn't hold anything back. It was an open door from the beginning, which meant she was able to just do a lot of damage on her way out of my life, because I let her all the way in. So, very much a lesson to any of my single listeners to just kind of, and it's a shitty thing to have to say, honestly, like, date reservedly, but especially in today's day and age, like, you kind of fucking have to, because people fucking suck. There's people like me out there who aren't over their exes and are lying to themselves. So, yeah, guard your fucking heart, protect yourself, because, yeah. And, okay, so we're kind of out of gas here, let's be honest. Because what I really want to do is get on here and talk about all the reasons I miss April and all the ways she made me feel and all this and all that and all blah, blah, blah. That's what I want to do. And at the same time, I don't. And I think in my current state of mind, if I did that, it would just end up being a mess and I'd have to scrap half the episode. So for now, we're going to leave it here. Shock horror. Although 30 minutes ain't bad off a half-finished script, and I'm drunk and wine. You know what? Here, this might be a break. This might be a part 1, but y'all won't know until you know. All right. So, took a minute, thought about it. This is just going to be a short episode. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to call it, as much as I hate to do these short ones, I don't know. This is just going to sit in the fucking vault if I don't finish it tonight. I will just never come back to this. So, big fucking downer. I know. And hopefully now that I've kind of fucking word vomited and posted it, we can start making our way back to like fun content, especially because I'm on the break now and I'm not such a bag of shit this week because I'm not working. So yeah, I can kind of just, because I have some other stuff I want to talk about, honestly, like how the holiday season is kind of fucking me up here for various reasons. And I really don't like Christmas, honestly, child of divorce things, but like, yeah, I fucking, this year especially is real weird for me. I had a couple real strange realizations this week and I don't really know what to do with them. So that can be for a future episode because I do not want that lumped in with a big April episode, but very sorry that this episode was kind of a hot mess express. Hopefully we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming, even though I know half of that programming is fucking April, but get back to being in a good mood and just kind of doing these and then being easy again. And I think I'm just putting too much pressure on it, honestly, just because real people do really listen now. So it's a little bit more stressful for me. And I'm going to choose to ignore that, hopefully, and kind of get over it. So for now, I hope everybody, if you get a Christmas break, I hope it's starting off fantastic. And hopefully all your Christmases are not too stressful. I don't know that I'll have an episode. What's today? The 22nd? 23rd, 24th? So the Monday is fucking Christmas. Maybe I'll have a Christmas episode. Who knows? But yes. The podcast is available on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/@Rackham42, that's the @ symbol, RACKHAM42. Nothing any different from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, any of that shit. It's just the audio version of the podcast, but YouTube takes the cover art and turns it into videos. So, but that also means the podcast is on YouTube Music. So if that's your jam, you can find it there. And the podcast has an email. If you would like to send your criticisms, comments, concerns, or questions over there, it is dumbereveryday42@gmail.com. Both of these links will be in the show notes in case you can't understand my slurred words. And other than that, I hope you all are having a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever fucking time it is for you. And I will catch you, mob, in the next fucking episode. Not ready for the end. Fuck's sake. Hooroo. Hello.